Chapter 5, Section 2 talks about sum and difference formulas, and I know what you're thinking, more formulas to memorize, yay. All right, let's get right to it. Have you ever wondered how you would find the sine of the sum of two angles? All right, maybe not. Wouldn't it be nice if the sine of the sum of two angles was equal to the sine of the first angle plus the sine of the second angle? And we're going to find out that's not true. So I'm just going to do a real quick example with values you know. So the sine of 60 plus 30, we're wondering if that would be the same as the sine of 60 plus the sine of 30. And so the sine of 90, we know that's an exact value, and that's 1. And the sine of 60, root 3 over 2, added to 1 over 2, gives us root 3 plus 1 over 2, which is approximately 1.4. And so we can see that this is not the case. So you're wondering, I know you are, just what exactly do we do if we are asked to find the sine of the sum of two angles? All right. So at this point, I'm just going to throw the formulas out at you and just say you have to know how to use these. Okay, so here are the 6 formulas you are going to need to memorize, and I don't think you need to sit down with flashcards maybe yet and memorize them, but we'll do a lot of practice with them, so you will get to the point where you know them by heart. So you'll probably want to pause this video and copy these down. As you can imagine, if you copy down the formulas wrong, you're not going to get the problems right. Okay, so let's use the formulas. Let's say here's an example problem that you might have to solve. You are told that the sine of A is 3/5, and it is in quadrant 1, and the cosine of angle B is -5 over 13th, and it is in quadrant 3. And your job is to find the sine of A plus B, the cosine of A plus B, and the tangent of A plus B. And here's the kicker. We're never ever going to find the actual angles. All right? We're just going to use the formulas. All right? So in the beginning, I recommend that when you do a problem like this, you always write the formulas out because it's such good practice. And then once you have the formula written out, it's really just a matter of putting the values in below it. Okay? So we know that's the formula for sine A. Sine A plus B. The next thing I'm going to tell you to do is draw a picture, and the picture shows angles A and B in standard position. So here's angle A, and we know that the sine is 3/5, so we know that this is a 3, 4, 5 triangle. Likewise, here's B, and B is in quadrant 3. It has a cosine of -5 over 13. And so using that triple, I can see then that that y side is -12. All right? So now I'm simply going to pull these values off of the diagrams. All right? Does that make sense to you? So I'm going to do this kind of quickly. You might want to slow it down and make sure you know where all these are coming from. So the sine of A is 3/5. The cosine of B is -5/13. We're going to add to that the cosine of A, which is 4/5, and the sine of B, which is -12/13. So we're going to multiply these, add them together. This is -15 over 65. This is -48 over 65. So my final answer is -63 over 65. All right? We don't know where the sine, we don't know what the angles are individually. We know a little bit of information about it. We can find the sine of their sum using this formula. All right, using the same 2 diagrams, now we're going to plug it into the cosine sum formula. So again, take the time, don't try to take shortcuts, and write out the formula. And then it's just a matter of plugging in those values below it. Okay, so there's the formula. So the cosine of A is 4/5. The cosine of B is -5/13. Remember, we're multiplying those. The sine of A is 3/5. The sine of B is -12 over 13. when we take negative 20 over 65 and then we're subtracting a negative 36, we get a final answer of 16 over 65. All right, last one, tangent. So the tangent formula is tangent of A plus tangent of B over 1 minus their product. And this is a little trickier because we have to find a common denominator. So we get 3/4 for the tangent of A, and then we're adding 12/5, the tangent of B, right? And then we're taking 1 minus their product, which is 36 over 20. And again, I'm doing this really quickly, finding a common denominator. Final answer, I should get negative 63 over 16. So you want to make sure you do that one and check. So those are some examples of problems we do using the formula. Here's one of the best things that we can do, and that is simplify problems, take them from a complicated expression and make it much simpler. All right, so cosine of 90 minus x using the cosine difference formula. I know that's going to be cosine 90 times cosine x plus sine 90 times sine x. All right, from our exact values, cosine of 90 is 0, sine of 90 is 1. So this goes away and I get sine of x. Right? So we started out with this, ended up with that, and you shouldn't be surprised because we studied these things called cofunctions. Cofunctions, right? And we said that when two angles added up to 90, when they were complements, the cosine of one was the sine of the other. Okay, last thing I'm going to do and end this video is I'm going to say, have you ever wondered what is the sine of 75 degrees without a calculator? Well, we know that 75 is not an exact value, but we now, because we have a sine sum formula, we can rewrite 75 as the sine of 45 plus 30. 45 plus 30 add to 75, and 45 and 30 are two angles we have exact values for. All right, so here we go. Sine sum formula, sine 45 cosine 30 plus cosine 45 sine 30. All right, we plug in the values, we get 1 over root 2 times root 3 over 2 plus 1 over root 2 times 1/2, right? And so what we get then is root 3 plus 1 over 2 root 2. And then in the back of the book it probably won't look like this. They're going to rationalize the denominator. So we'll see root 6 plus root 2 over 4. And just know that these are equivalent fractions. Right? This one has no square root in the denominator, this one does. Either would be acceptable on a test. Okay, that's a lot of information in class. We're going to practice it tomorrow. See you in class.